Hello, this is Robert M. Ross. I'm a licensed professional counselor here in the state of Pennsylvania and I'd like to welcome you back to my channel, which I call the Common Sense Lifestyle. This is a channel where I try to take some psychological concepts, ideas, things that I've observed in my career and try to break them down into little digestible chunks that people can use to improve their own lives. Frequently, psychology has a language that's very esoteric. Other psychologists know it, other therapists, counselors know it, but the general public don't know it. So what I like to do is kind of translate all this stuff down into regular ideas, regular English that we can all use to make our lives better and just become the best version, edition, however, of ourselves that we can possibly be. So, my disclaimer as I do at the beginning of all my videos. I am not your therapist. This is not a therapy session. Nothing in any of my videos can be construed as mental health treatment, nor are they designed to diagnose or treat any kind of mental disorder. If you do need a therapist, I would urge you to seek one out in your own area. You could call your insurance company. They'll be able to direct you to someone who is in network in your area, or you can use a service like Psychology Today, who has a very nice find a therapist function where you can enter your zip code, the insurance that you have, the condition that you seek treatment for, and it will spit you out a list of local therapists in your area that take your insurance and treat that condition. That being said, I have a different kind of topic today. This is one I have not yet covered, and the topic is infidelity. To cover that, I'll be discussing two different articles and some statistics that are kind of useful. I think will be very helpful to a lot of guys out there. And the reason for this is probably over the last 4 to 5 years, infidelity has become a bigger thing, a bigger part of what I've dealt with in my office. And probably strangely enough, most cases are a guy's coming to me and his wife or girlfriend is cheating on him, or, you know, there's some different things we'll get into in the video. But it is an interesting phenomenon that's been going on, and I've been seeing more and more of it here, like I just said, over the last 4 to 5 years. I think it's worthy of discussion. So let's get back in, let's get to our first article here. First article is for Perspectives Counseling. It is a therapy website, someone's practice, I believe. And I'll leave a link in the description down below. But they're talking about infidelity statistics, cheating men versus cheating women. And here's some quotes from the study, or the article here. The easiest way to figure out if men cheat more often than women is to look at the current infidelity statistics, courtesy of the Journal of Marital and Family Therapy. So this is from a scientific journal. It's peer-reviewed. This is a scholarly journal that people can quote in their own papers and research. So here's some statistics from that study. 57% of men overall admit to committing infidelity at some point in their lives. 54% of women overall admit to committing infidelity in one or more of their relationships. 22% of married men admit to having an affair at least once during their marriages. 14% of married women admit to having an affair at least once during their marriages. So something interesting, and I don't have all the statistics here, I just have what the Perspectives Counseling quoted, but here's something to think about. Any research study has what is calculated in called a margin of error, and that's most of the time. When they use a statistical analysis to compare data, the statistical analysis, the formula that they use, will spit out what is called a margin of error, and it's the chance that the study is in error in some way. I would be willing to bet, and I would probably be pretty close to being correct, there's a 3% difference here between the men who cheated 57% and the women who cheated 54%. I'd be willing to bet that that's within the margin of error. So what does that mean when you read research and something's within the margin of error? It's a tie. It's a dead heat. It's pretty much dead even. In a large statistical analysis, 57-54 might as well be a tie. So, you know, what are we saying here? Women cheat just about as much as men. So when you look at the, here's more quotations here. However, when you look into the lives of married couples, men do have a higher rate of infidelity than women. These numbers may be skewed based on the amount of people who are willing to tell the truth about their infidelity. But it's safe to say as a whole, both genders have the ability to cheat on one another. So what do we have? Well, we have a situation in our society currently where the old stereotype of the guy going to work and cheating with the secretary or stopping for a drink on the way home from work and, flirting up the bartender or something like that, or the waitress, may not be entirely true. Now, while guys certainly do cheat in a slightly higher rate than women, women are catching up really fast. So we can't go by the old stereotype that men are the cheaters, because it seems to be more of an equal opportunity thing. So how do we recognize cheating? How do we know if someone's cheating? Well, second article is from Psychology Today, and I'll leave the link for that in the description below as well. Here are several things, several factors that may raise some suspicion that your partner may be cheating. Number one is improved appearance. If your significant other suddenly starts exercising and eating healthier, it could be a sign that they are trying to be more attractive to someone, possibly you, but possibly an affair partner. If Mr. Sweatpants or just fine at a party starts wearing slacks with matching socks and a fashionable shirt, or Ms. I can't help it if I smell like our son's poopy diaper suddenly smells like Chanel No. 5, that might indicate an affair. Ditto for new haircut and new underwear, especially if your significant other looks the same around you, but significantly better at work than any other social events. So basically, this is pointing to a change in their appearance. I had a guy in my office a few years ago who initially was absolutely thrilled that his wife went out and lost 50 pounds and bought a new wardrobe. And he thought, hooray for me, my wife's taking care of herself, this is wonderful. And then she was gone. And what it turned out to be is she knew she had decided a year or two in advance that she was going to leave her husband. So she started working on herself, so once she did leave her husband, it would be easier for her to find another partner. She was working on her own appeal, her own kind of sexual market value, as the saying goes these days. So now, let me be clear. Are there couples I know that they decide to work out together because they want to work on their health and be more healthy together? Yeah, and I wouldn't consider that to be one of these situations. Same thing with, they'll go on a diet together. They'll work on their own health kind of goals together. And if it's a together kind of thing, I seriously doubt it's going to be a cheating situation. But when all of a sudden you see one person in the relationship suddenly make major upgrades to their appearance, their dress, their everything, it's kind of a red flag. Secretive phone or computer use is number 2, and this one is big. Cheaters tend to use their phones and computers more frequently than before and guard them as if their lives depended on it. If your partner's phone and laptop never required a password before, and now they do, that's not a good sign, and I have to agree with that. If your partner suddenly starts deleting texts and clearing their browser history on a daily basis, also not a good sign. If your partner never relinquishes possession of their phone, even taking it into the bathroom when they shower, also not a good sign. If you ask to review your partner's phone and they say no, also a problem. Honestly, what could possibly be there other than information about your surprise birthday that they would want to keep secret? Very, very true. Coffee break, sorry. This is the end of the day. I usually do videos in the morning. I'm actually doing one at night for a change. And now realizing why I usually do these in the morning. I'm a little bright-eyed and bushy-tailed in the morning, and not so much right now. But getting back to the secretive phone or computer use, if all of a sudden there's a change in that all of a sudden, after not really caring about their phone or laptop or anything privacy in the past, it suddenly becomes a big thing. Why might that be? Well, several reasons. One, obviously, they're cheating and they're using their phone. Cell phone technology has made it very easy to cheat. These are cheating machines. They'll have a dating profile and a dating app. They may have a Snapchat that you're unaware of that they're using to send pictures of themselves to someone else. They're texting other people that, you probably don't want them texting because they're involved in them romantically and not with you. So there's all kinds of things that go into that. And again, this represents a change. You know, if I were dating someone, they would know that I'm a therapist and this is my business phone and it's gonna be locked because people's information, they'll call me, they may text me to change an appointment. I can't have their personal information being out there. So there's all kinds of security on this phone. In fact, if you hit the password a certain amount of times wrong, it wipes the phone. Measures you take to protect people's personal information. If they have a job that requires them to have some security on their phone, that's kind of understandable. If you're dealing with confidential information, you're a lawyer, you're a police officer, and your laptop gets used for work, you may need some security on there. That I get. But if they're not doing anything super secretive or they're not doing anything that involves security or privacy, they have no reason to lock their phone unless they're hiding something from you. Periods where your significant other is unreachable. That's number 3. If your partner is cheating on you, they are less likely to answer your calls or respond to your texts. Kind of common sense there. If you may hear legitimate sounding excuses like they were in a meeting, they were driving, they were in a quote unquote dead zone, or didn't know you were trying to get in touch. If your partner's unreachable while working late or on a business trip, it's a bad sign. And absolutely is a bad sign. Gal goes out for girls' night out and all of a sudden you don't hear from her for 3 hours. Well, if it's girls' night out and she's just sitting in a club or a bar having a few drinks with her friends, why isn't she responding? Why can't she respond? Dead zones do exist, but depending on where they are, that they're actually kind of rare. If you're in an urban area, probably not going to be a dead zone, at least to my knowledge. You go out to the rural areas, there could very well be a dead zone. And I've worked in counties where, I had to hope that I never got into a car accident during about a third to half of my drive because there's no cell service there. So, be reasonable with it, but it is a red flag. Number 4, significantly less or more or different sex in your relationship. Both decreased and increased levels of sexual activity in your relationship can be a sign of infidelity. Less sex occurs because your partner is focused on someone else. More sex occurs because they are trying to cover that up. Another possible sign of cheating is that the sex between you and your partner feels less emotionally connected. Yet another possible sign is your partner is introducing new techniques and activity into your sex life. As much as you might enjoy that, it's possible that they're learning such tricks outside your relationship. And I have encountered that before where guys will come in and say they're doing something different and it's really cool, but I wonder where they got it from. And a lot of times they get it from another guy. And that's not good. That's not the kind of new and different and exciting that you want in your relationship. Number 5, your partner is hostile towards you and your relationship. Cheaters tend to rationalize their behavior in their own minds. One way they do that is push blame onto you. They tell themselves that you don't look the way you did before they married you, or you're not adventurous enough in the bedroom, or you don't appreciate the wonderful things they do for you, so they deserve a little fun elsewhere. Often their internal justifications for cheating leak out, and they behave judgmentally towards you and your relationship. If it seems like nothing you do is right, or the things you used to do not bother your partner suddenly do, as if you're getting pushed away, that could be a strong indication of cheating, and this is absolutely true. A lot of cheaters will blame the cheating on the innocent spouse. If you paid more attention to me, if you didn't work so much, if you didn't do this, if you didn't leave the toilet seat up, there's 1,000,005 different reasons, but they push it on you. Number 6, an altered schedule. When your significant other who never once worked late suddenly needs to work late, and that starts happening more and more frequently, they might be lying. If they haven't gotten a promotion, if their job hasn't changed, if they haven't been given new responsibilities and all of a sudden they need to work late to work on a project, that project might be another guy. We'll call him Chad. If your spouse has never been away on a business trip and suddenly finds the need to travel for work, that could be a sign that they're having weekend getaways with an affair partner. Flat tires, dead batteries, traffic jams, extra time in the gym, And similar excuses for being late and absent altogether might also signal infidelity. A cheating partner might also be forgetful about picking up the kids, birthdays, and other important events. Number 7, friends seem uncomfortable around you. With infidelity, you, the betrayed partner, are almost always the last person to find out. The cheater's friends also often know about the infidelity right from the start, and your own friends are likely to find out long before you do. This knowledge typically causes these individuals to feel uncomfortable around you. Your own friends may try to avoid conversations about your relationship, and they may overcompensate by being extra nice. Now, a lot of times as folks are married in particular and their social circles kind of intertwine, this becomes a rather difficult situation. And a lot of times, sadly, the cheating spouses or girlfriends or however friends may cover for the relationship. They may say, well, I'm out with Sally. Sally and I are going to the library to read a book, or, whatever it is. And, Sally will cover for her, but she's never at the library. She's off meeting Chad somewhere. And she's going to continue to cover, and she's probably going to be uncomfortable around you. Number 8, unexplained expenses. If there are odd charges on your partner's credit cards, if there's suddenly less money in your partner's bank accounts, retirement accounts, investment accounts, that's a possible sign of infidelity. If you ask your partners about these expenses and their answers seem untrue, it's likely that they're untrue. Infidelity costs money. Gifts, trips, wines, dinners, hotel rooms, or the cost of cheating can add up rather quickly. If you see large cash withdrawals or evidence of purchases from places you rarely or never frequent, it's not a good sign. Number 9, the emotional intimacy has faded. After a few years, no relationship is as intense as it is in the first few months. Now this is important. This is my own commentary there. What happens at the beginning of a relationship is what a lot of people call the courtship phase. It's exciting, it's new, it's different, it's invigorating. And I know people that get addicted to the courtship phase. They go through the courtship phase with someone, and then when things become normal, predictable, and kind of, they just drop that person and go on to the next person so they can have that excitement again. So a lot of times people try to re-experience the excitement that they had at the first part of their relationship with you with someone else, which is not good for you. That said, back to the article, we tend to bond with and securely attach over time, and this is very true. Learning to trust one another with our secrets, our desires, and other important aspects of our lives. A lot of old-fashioned folks say that rush you feel at the beginning, that lust you feel at the beginning is not actually love. Love comes later. But too many people in this day and age, they like the lust part, they like that exciting early part, and they bail out before you get to the true love, commitment, bonding part. And some people just aren't able to bond. I've encountered that as well. I mean, people coming into my office and complaining about that. So that process is known as building emotional intimacy. And emotional intimacy is what keeps us bonded to our significant other long after the bloom is off the rose, so to speak. So if your partner suddenly seems less emotionally vulnerable and intimate with you and does not seem to want to be with you emotionally, it's a strong indication that their focus has shifted, likely to an affair partner. Number 10 for the article. When you ask about cheating, your partner deflects and avoids. The last thing they want to talk about when they're cheating on you is if they're cheating on you. So there's going to be all kinds of denials, sometimes angry denials, like how dare you accuse me of this terrible thing. But in the meantime, they're texting with their cheating partner, probably complaining about you being too close to catching on to them. Now, in addition to the Psychology Today article, which I thought was rather comprehensive, I thought that was pretty good, I added a couple more that I've seen over the last few years, approximately 3. And what my addition is, girls' night out. Now, I recommend, and I've recommended this in other videos, that people have friends, that people have outlets, that people still keep their hobbies, even when they're in a marriage, when they're in a committed relationship, because you have to maintain a little bit of you, because it can become too stifling or too nasty just to be constantly, 1000% with another person. Sometimes you need things to do of your own. Sometimes you need to work on a car, or You need to practice a martial art or go to the gym or something like that, something that you just have for you, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And where guys, I would recommend you hang out with your friends every once in a while. We certainly wouldn't begrudge women of a girl's night out. There's certainly nothing wrong with that. But when relationships starts to go south and maybe there's cheating involved, girl night out turns into girls' nights out. Notice the plural on nights, where it's once a month, and then it's once a week, and then it's twice a week. Then it's, oh, I'm meeting up with the girls after work today. And of course, like we discussed in the other example, she might be, her friends may be covering for her by doing that. So when they start to go out more and more and more and more, when it turns into girls' nights out, that's a warning sign. And you can talk to a lot of guys out there to go to clubs and go to different kind of venues. Girls' night out is sometimes a pretense for cheating, and there are guys literally out there that they openly talk about it. Their dating lives are having sex with married women. That's what they do. So it's something you kind of want to be careful of. Another example of mine is what I call projection. Projection is when you accuse someone else of doing what you're thinking or doing. How this happens is pretty simple. Woman is cheating on her guy, and since she's cheating, she assumes everyone cheats. It's one of her rationalizations to make this okay. Everyone cheats, So she accuses her hapless husband, who stays home with the kid while she goes out and cheats. She accuses him of cheating. You're cheating on me, I know it. You're doing this, you're doing that. What does this do? This does a couple things. For one, it takes the innocent party and it causes them to defend themselves. So while they're on the defensive, while they're busy trying to prove that they're not cheating, they're not looking at the fact that it's really their spouse that's cheating. It kind of shuts them up and keeps them on the defensive. And again, it gives the person using projection kind of the rationalization that, oh, they're probably cheating too, so I'm perfectly fine to keep on cheating. They start to believe their own lies, basically. So that's a huge red flag. I've seen this happen a million times, and I see it probably more particular with people that have cluster B personality disorders, folks with borderline personality disorder, histrionic personality, narcissistic personality. These are the folks that they'll accuse you of cheating to cover up their own cheating. So you definitely have to be kind of careful about that. The last one is actually one of the reasons that I don't do couples therapy anymore. I'll still see couples for communication issues, really basic stuff, but I'm not a licensed marriage and family therapist, so I try not to go into areas where I'm not qualified to go, and this is where my line gets crossed. So the last one, if your wife or girlfriend comes to you and asks you to open up the relationship, this is the mother of red flags. This is a red flag that is 10 miles long and it's on fire, in my opinion at least. I know other people have a more progressive view on this. I have a more traditional one. And here's why I have the more traditional one. I have dealt with a handful of cases, probably 5 cases in the last several years, where a couple has come to me and the wife wants to open up the relationship. And almost every single case was the same. The woman wanted to open up the relationship. She was allowed to go out and cheat on her husband. And the husband was not allowed to go out and cheat on the woman. The man had to stay home and take care of the kids, because I think in each and every one of these situations there were kids. The father would watch the children while mom went out and cheated. Honest to goodness, this is what happened in my office. And aftermath of these situations, when they would blow up, and I would refer them out, by the way, but when these situations would blow out, it was always found, and now mind you, this is anecdotal and only a handful of cases, so I can't say this is universal. There's no research from my part on this. But in each and every one of these situations, the women were already cheating on their husband, and they wanted to open the relationship because they got tired of hiding it. It just got laborious for them to keep on hiding the cheating from her husband, and they figured it would just be easier to make it an open relationship so she could cheat all she wanted and then be fine with it. So, in my opinion, can people rebuild a relationship after infidelity? They can, with a boatload of work. It will take considerable work on both parties to rebuild the trust and the intimacy in the relationship that was blown up by the cheating. However, a lot of guys, they're not going to take those steps. You know, when they've been cheated on, they've been hurt so badly, they're done. And, you know, can't say much more about it than that. But those are the red flags. The research showed that women cheat just about as much as men, and like I said, it might very well be within the margin of error for the studies. And there's a boatload of information out there, red flags. One other thing about the red flags, minus the asking to open up the relationship, which is the red flag that's on fire, all the other ones, especially the ones from the Psychology Today article, one of those isn't necessarily a cheating sign. A couple of them, and each additional one you add increases the chance that there's infidelity going on. So if you see one of these things happening, you know, if your wife buys a new dress, it doesn't mean she's cheating. If, you know, she does get a promotion at work and she works late, that's not necessarily a sign of cheating. But when you get a bunch of these at once, it's a big sign of cheating. And again, the 10-foot tall red flag that's on fire is the asking to open up the relationship. So be extremely cautious of that. And if you have any self-respect, you're probably going to say no to that one. So guys, I'm going to end it with that. This information to kind of add to your arsenal of information in your mind, so you can kind of look at what's going on around you, look at what's going on in your relationship, and recognize red flags that something's going on. There's nothing wrong with recognizing red flags and looking into things. It's being a wise person who looks at an evidence-based look at the world around them and makes some accurate judgments about what's happening. So guys, as I always end my videos, if you're feeling suicidal, if any of your friends or family members are expressing suicidal ideation, suicidal thoughts to you, please use the suicide prevention hotline I'm going to put down in the description below. Suicide is almost always a long-term solution to a short-term problem. Things almost always get better. And quite frankly, even if your wife or girlfriend is cheating on you, it's recoverable. It's not the end of your life. It may be an end of a phase of your life, and it may start a difficult phase that ends with you being even better in the end, but it's survivable. I want you to be the guy that 5 years from now looks back at this terrible event that may or may not happen to you and says, this is when my life changed. This is when I learned something. This is when I started taking action to make myself better. So I want you to be in that category. Unfortunately, too many guys are ending their lives, and I really, really, really want to work to end that. So guys, use that hotline if you have to. Otherwise, hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the bell so you'll be notified when future video comes out. Please leave comments down in the description, or, you know, down below. And, you know, we'll have a dialogue about things because there's lots of different ways to view this. Have a great day, guys. Continue to be the best possible edition, version, whatever of yourself that you can be. Have a great day.